My due respect too, from the Office of the Regional Director, Director Salustiano T. Jimenez, SASO 5, Dr. Leo B. Asibar, Regional Research Coordinator, Chief PPRD, Dr. Bert Tiongzon, Mr. Misael G. Borgonia, Mr. Ray Paul Tan. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Teacher Hazel May E. Baligyan, a Master Teacher 1 of Dao Elementary School, Tagbilaran City Schools Division. I have the honor to present to you my completed action research on reading difficulties of grades 1 and 2 pupils. The main purpose of this study focused on the reading difficulties of grades 1 and 2 pupils of the O Elementary School, Dao District, Tagbilaran City, Bohol. Specifically, this study aimed to answer the following questions. First, what is the level of pupils' reading difficulties of grades 1 and 2 in the pre-oral reading verification and post-oral reading verification test, respectively? Second, is there a significant difference in the mean score of the level of reading difficulties of grades 1 and 2 pupils? Third, what intensive reading interventions or program could be proposed to improve the reading performance of the struggling and non-readers? Learning to read is a complex and continuous process from the early years of the child's development and continuing throughout his lifetime. It is a tool for learning. Reading facilitates the ability to reason, think, discriminate, judge, and evaluate what has been read and solve problems. Reading is indeed an encompassing tool in assisting the children. There is no single method of reading instruction that should be advocated, but every teacher should seek the process which offers the greatest means of assessing the individual's unique nature and needs. A teacher's knowledge of the interest, needs, and growth patterns for the individual is very important. The effective diagnosis of the children's varied characteristics will determine the right time when reading should begin. To have a zero non-readers at the end of the school year is one of the DepEd's visions that each division should have to implement. When students are motivated, then learning will easily take place. However, in doing our work well, so as to have motivated learners in the classroom, teachers kept on complaining that some pupils could not understand their lesson well, even if they kept on teaching the subject. Majority of those who dropped in the middle of the school year belong to the identified struggling or non-readers and slow readers. Part of the reason is that they could not comprehend since they could not read. Methodology. The methods and procedures that employed in this study use the qual and quasi-experimental method of research to identify the level of the reading difficulties of grades 1 and 2 pupils. Descriptive statistics was used to define the general findings of the study. Average weighted scores were computed and served as basis of interpretation of the findings. The data was treated statistically using various statistical tools. The interpretation of the information gathered meaningful and reliable. The tools used were percentage, mean, standard deviation, and t-test. The reading difficulties of the learners were based on the results of the mean percentage score and interpreted of the pre-oral reading verification test and post-oral reading verification test. This study made use of the experimental design called pre-test post-test group design. This design is considered the most widely used educational research for experimental study. Before the implementation of the study, the researcher conducted initial screening of the grades 1 and 2 learners, prepared necessary materials like literacy assessment, EGRA, and ORVT and learner placement, reading remediation plan, and weekly plan, reviewed the teaching strategies to be used as well as activities that may serve as practice exercises, and determined whether the learner is proceeding with the next stage or not and what reading difficulties one learner might undergo. Participants of the study were the advisors and learners of 33 and 16 identified struggling non-readers and slow readers of the O Elementary School for this school year 2018-2019. Descriptive statistics was used to define the general findings of the study. Average weighted scores were computed and served as basis of interpretation of the findings. This part includes the results of data gathered from the pre-oral reading verification test and post-oral reading verification test of the grades 1 and 2 pupils in the O Elementary School, the O District, Tagbilaran City for the school year 2018-2019. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the reading performance in the pre-oral reading verification test and post-oral reading verification test. Let me present to you Table 1.1 Frequency Distribution of the Grade 1 learners in the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT. Table 1.1 shows the level of the reading difficulty of Grade 1 pupils during the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT. During the pre-ORVT, there is 30.30% of the pupils who are identified Grade 1 struggling and non-readers. Some reading difficulties found out among the pupils are having learners with special educational needs such as dyslexia. This is often results from difficulties with the auditory processing part of language and hinders accurate, fluent word reading. These children can get frustrated and even convince themselves that they cannot learn. In this instance, teachers need to work with the students to teach the basic skills necessary for learning at the rate of normal student of his age. There are some children that have problems with language development. A lack of language development can cause a child to be slow learner. It is of much importance to see if a child has grown in the art of language and reading achievement. The teachers need to work with these students to bring up their language levels so that they can reach maximum achievements in their class. Moreover, this result is supported by a research made by the International Dyslexia Association, or IDA, of 2007, that the degree of difficulty a child with dyslexia has with reading, spelling, and or speaking varies from person to person due to inherited differences in brain development as well as the type of teaching the person receives. The brain is normal, often very intelligent, but with strengths in areas other than the language area. This difference goes undetected until the person finds difficulty when learning to read and write. Each individual with dyslexia is unique. but the multisensory approach is flexible enough to serve a wide range of ages and learning differences. A multisensory approach can be valuable to many. To the dyslexic child, it is essential. The expertise of the teacher is the key. Moreover, most people with dyslexia have been found to have problems with identifying the separate speech sounds within a word and or learning how letters represent those sounds, a key factor in their reading difficulties. Dyslexia is not due to either lack of intelligence or desire to learn. With appropriate teaching methods, students with dyslexia can learn successfully. Some of them are having attention deficit disorder or ADD, which is a neurological disorder that causes a range of behavior problems such as difficulty attending to instruction, focusing on schoolwork, keeping up with assignments, following instructions, completing tasks and social interaction, poor listening skills, improper comprehension skills, issues with decoding. Some of them also are observed in the class as ADHD, which has inability to recognize other people's needs and desires. They are interrupting, trouble waiting their turn, emotional turmoil, usually cause problems in the class, unfinished tasks and lack of focus. This study is supported by a research made Bender 1997, Hallowell 1994, and Reef 1997. It is said that more boys than girls are diagnosed with ADHD. Most research suggests that the condition is diagnosed 4 to 9 times more often in boys than in girls. Although for years it was assumed to be a childhood disorder that became visible as early as age 3 and disappeared with the advent of adolescence, the condition is not limited to children. It is also supported by Manuza, Klein, Bessler, Malloy, and Lapadula of 1998 that the symptoms of disorders may change as child ages. Many children with ADHD do not grow out of it. There is 30.30% of the grade 1 learners belong to syllabic readers. These are the pupils who tend to break down words into individual syllables for the purpose of reading. There is 39.39% who are slow readers. These are the learners who are deficient or weaknesses in key cognitive processing and may have physical discomfort that cause reading difficulty, and they usually minimize practicing and reading. No pupil belongs to the fast readers group. The post-ORVT scores show a great increase in the reading performance or the decrease of reading difficulty. 12 of them belong to the consistency level of fast readers, since 36.36% of the pupils obtained a ranking scores from 9 to 10. These are the pupils who can read as fast as they can with a comprehension. This study is supported by Esther Andrews that some students have very active minds. They learn faster than other kids and are actually very gifted learners. There is 21.21% belong to the average readers with a ranging scores from 7 to 8. The average reading speed of a person is around 250 words per minute, accompanied by a reading comprehension level of around 16 minutes, a difference of 21.21% acquired by the struggling and non-readers during the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT. This time, I am going to present to you the Table 1.2 frequency distribution of the grade 2 learners in the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT. Table 1.2 shows the level of the reading difficulty of grade 2 pupils during the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT. During the pre-ORVT, there is 81.25% of the pupils who are identified grade 2 struggling and non-readers. There is 12.50% of the grade 1 learners belong to the syllabic readers. There is 6.25% who are slow readers. No pupil belong to the fast readers group. The post-ORVT scores show a great increase in the reading performance or the decrease of reading difficulty. 4 of them belong to the consistency level of fast readers, since 25% of the pupils obtained a ranging scores from 9 to 10. There is 18.75% belong to the average readers with a ranging scores from 7 to 8. A difference of 43.75% acquired by struggling and non-readers during the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Table 2.1, the difference of the mean scores and reading level between the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT of grade 1 learners. The t-test results of the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT of grade 1 learners. Table 2.1 shows the difference of the mean scores between the pre-test and post-test of grade 1 pupils using the reading intervention Basa Hanason Panabot Maangkon through interactive reading support program by explicit and differentiated instructions. The mean of 0.48 during the pre-ORVT improved to 7.12 indicates an increase in the reading performance. Pupils performed better using the SEDS reading strategy Basa Hanason Panabot Maangkon through interactive reading support program by explicit and differentiated instructions. The computed t-test is 11.498, which is greater than the critical value of 2.024 at 0.05 level of significance. Thus, the null hypothesis is rejected. It means that there is a significant increase in the reading level of the grade 1 learners. This time, let me present to you the Table 2.2, the difference of the mean scores and reading level between the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT of grade 2 learners. The table shows that during the pre-ORVT, it has 1.44 mean score that has the reading level of struggling and non-readers. On the other hand, during the post-ORVT, it has 5.75 mean score that has the reading level of slow readers. T-test results of the pre-ORVT and post-ORVT of grade 2 learners. The computed t-test is 4.1168, which is greater than the critical value of 2.074 at 0.05 level of significance. Thus, the null hypothesis is rejected. It means that there is significant increase in the reading level of the grade 2 learners. The reading performance of the grades 1 and 2 pupils after the experimentation greatly improved. There is a great decrease of the reading difficulties. There are more pupils who are in the fast and average readers in the reading level. Basa Hanason Panabot Maangkon through interactive reading support program by explicit and differentiated instructions contributed a lot in the reading performance. The mean of the pre-ORVT improved during the post-ORVT. They reject the null hypothesis, so there is a significant difference in the mean scores of the grades 1 and 2 pupils using the intensive reading intervention. Basa Hanason, Panabut Maangkon through interactive reading support program by explicit and differentiated instructions. Here are the summary and conclusions towards the extent of implementation of the reading program indicators. Number 1. Teachers always conducted the remedial reading with slow readers, especially on setting special time with them with their progress, provision of reading materials, and learning opportunities, and coordinating parents. They discovered that slow readers are reluctant to read and are less cooperative. Number 2. Extent of implementation of the reading program is agreeable. The program is positively accepted by the teachers. The teachers should be involved. The program can be intensified through strict monitoring tool, provision of more reading materials. The reading program will be more effective if these findings will be properly addressed too, but they all agreed that even if the poor attitude of the slow readers will not change, effectiveness will not be attained to the fullest. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the Basa Hanason Panabut Maangkon Classroom Strategies. Basa Hanason Panabut Maangkon Classroom Strategies involved into 3 reading instructional accommodations. These are the following: accommodations involving materials, accommodations involving interactive instruction, and accommodations involving student performance. As a researcher, I would like to extend my heartfelt and most profound gratitude to all those who, in one way or another, have helped in the realization of this completed action research. Their brilliant ideas and contributions were greatly recognized and sincerely appreciated. To our school's Division Superintendent, Dr. Joseph Erwin A. Lagura. Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Marcelo K. Palispis. Division Research Coordinator, Dr. Filomena A. Tagaan. My school principal of the All Elementary School, Mrs. Concepcion I. Galientes. Our school area coordinator, Sir Joseph A. Barete. Once again, thank you so much for your tremendous support and encouragement.